At the start of the movie, 8 contenders are seen preparing for a job examination. Some of them boost their confidence with positive affirmations, while others make some last-minute adjustments to their appearance before heading to the examination hall. The hall is dimly lit, with desks arranged uniformly for each candidate. Surveillance cameras are also present to monitor their actions. Once all 8 candidates are seated, a guard armed with a gun enters the room, causing visible nervousness among the contenders. He is followed by a man who introduces himself as the invigilator without revealing his name. The invigilator apologizes for the challenges the candidates have faced to reach this point, disclosing that they have successfully passed all previous hiring stages and are now the finalists. If they pass this final test, they will secure their dream jobs. The invigilator establishes a unique rule for the exam, stating that no federal laws apply within the examination hall. The candidates must solely adhere to the rules of the exam. They are prohibited from communicating with the guard or the invigilator. Additionally, intentionally or accidentally damaging the paper or leaving the room for any reason will result in disqualification. The candidates have 80 minutes to complete the test, which consists of a single question on the paper in front of them. The invigilator asks if they have any inquiries, but receives no response. He wishes them luck, starts the timer, and exits the room. As the candidates turn their papers over, they discover that it is completely blank. Confusion spreads among them, and as time passes, their anxiety intensifies. Consequently, the second candidate begins writing on her paper, explaining why she believes she is qualified for the job. The camera focuses on her paper and the guard kicks her out because she ruined it. Number 2 pleads for another chance, but the guard locks the doors on her. Later on, number 5 realizes that they can't talk to the invigilator or the guard, but they can talk to each other. He shares this information with the others, making them believe that they need to work together to find the question before finding the answer. The group discusses different ways to pass the test, but they're all equally confused. Throughout all this, candidate number 1 remains silent. One man tries to introduce himself, but number 5 suggests they use pet names instead of revealing their true identities. He names candidate number 1, Deaf, because they haven't spoken yet. Then, they name the guys brown, black, and white based on their race, and the girls blonde, brunette, and dark based on their hair color and respectively. After that, White suggests they stand up from their seats since there's no rule against it. He takes a risk and stands up, and to everyone's relief, the guard doesn't react, allowing them to move freely. Dark believes that the questions might be written in invisible ink or have a watermark. They all agree to test this theory, but they're not sure how. Dark then gets up and uses the room's lights to check if anything is written on the paper. Unfortunately, nothing is visible. However, she insists that everyone checks their own papers because the question could be on just one of them. Everyone follows her instructions except for Deaf, who remains quietly in his seat. White takes his paper and examines it under the light, but they don't find any results. Black suggests that the writings might be visible under UV rays or X-rays. The group then starts searching for a switchboard to see if there's a way to turn on different lights. When they can't find one, they take it upon themselves to find the source of the light. Deaf doesn't offer any help and nervously stays seated. Blonde discovers emergency light strips in the room. However, since there are no switches, the group has to break all the other light bulbs to trigger the emergency lights. Brown objects, saying it's too risky. So, they vote on the matter and ultimately decide to proceed with the plan. After breaking all the light bulbs in the room, it suddenly glows blue due to the emergency black light. Everyone starts searching for the question on the paper, except for Deaf. Unfortunately, they're disappointed once again because they can't see the question. Brunette suggests removing the first layer of the strip light as they aren't lit. This might generate UV rays that could help them. They use the woman's heels to break the strips and reveal another form of light. However, they are once again met with disappointment as these lights don't work either. Now, the group only has 60 minutes left. A frustrated White asks everyone to think of alternatives. As they brainstorm ideas, White realizes they can do anything to number 2's paper since she's already disqualified. They gather around her desk and try tracing the paper with a pencil, but still, no question appears. White then tears her paper into sections so they can experiment with different methods. Next, he pees on one of the papers to see if it's liquid activated. However, that doesn't work either. Black and White get into a heated argument while discussing what to do next, but they stop when they hear Deaf crying. He sobs silently in his seat while the others watch him in concern. After that, the guy starts blabbering away in French. He asks if they can see something in the paper and claims that the paper reflects their image. They don't pay much attention to his ramblings and go back to discussing ideas. Suddenly, everyone falls silent when Brown speaks up. He suggests his own theory, saying that they're not in an exam but actually on some kind of betting show. Apparently, the company's board members have placed bets on who will crack under pressure, and their only purpose for being there is for the board members' entertainment. Dark thinks the board members probably have better things to do with their time, but Brown insists that money is the least of their concerns. With the amount of money they have, the board members probably live for the thrill of taking risks. Now, everyone starts sharing their own ideas. Some think the invigilator might be behind all this, while others suspect the CEO. The pressure starts getting to them, and they begin insulting each other. Brunette confidently states that there are no people watching them because the CEO is hands-on in the company. He has complete control and power over everyone. It's clear that she knows more about the company than anyone else.
Brown asks her how she knows so much about the CEO, and it turns out that Brunette already works for the company in HR but has never actually seen the CEO. She applied for a higher position and ended up here. White then reveals that he was headhunted and offered the job, which surprises the others who claim they applied for it. However, one thing they all have in common is that they know nothing about the company and were explicitly told not to ask any questions.
Brunette then explains that they are applying for a well-known pharmaceutical company called Barag, which is worth millions. A few years ago, when a pandemic hit the young population, Barag was the first to discover the cure. Thanks to their CEO, they now have an annual turnover of $20 billion. Suddenly, Black suggests that the company may have found a cure for the latest deadly disease that has been claiming millions of lives worldwide.
Dark becomes intrigued and asks Black for more information.
This raises suspicion in White, who questions Dark if she is also infected by the virus. Dark denies it and brushes off the concern. To divert attention from herself, she discreetly takes a lighter from the guard's pocket without speaking to him. She then glances at the fire alarm. The group plans to use the lighter to trigger the sprinkler system, as water could potentially reveal hidden messages on the paper. Dark climbs onto a chair but can't reach the fire alarm. White comes to her aid by giving her a rolled-up piece of paper, which she sets on fire and uses to activate the alarm. Soon, water starts showering, but the papers remain unchanged. Suddenly, the guard approaches the group. In that moment, Dark unfolds the paper in her hand, revealing it to be her own.
White had betrayed her to gain an advantage. The guard forcefully takes Dark away as she angrily calls White a bastard. This angers Black, who threatens to punch White. As he does, the lights go out, and the group realizes they are voice-activated. They caution each other to be careful with their words, especially when Def starts crying again. White cunningly sits in front of him and bullies him into tearing his own paper and eating it. The guard then approaches Def and sends him away as well.
Now there are only 5 candidates remaining. Black mocks White, calling him a terrible person, but White insists that they should be grateful to him for eliminating their competitors. He also claims to know the answer to the question but refuses to share it with the others. In a fit of anger, Black punches him, knocking him unconscious. The group then ties him to a chair and gags him with a tie.
After some time, White regains consciousness. Brunette removes his gag and he asks for his medication, explaining that he is also infected with the virus and needs to take medicine every hour to stay alive. Beck searches his pockets for pills but doesn't find any.
This leads the group to believe that White is just making excuses to be freed. However, White insists that one of them has taken the pill and promises to reveal the question if they return it to him.
Soon, White loses consciousness again and starts trembling. Some think he's pretending, but Black says it's a seizure caused by the virus. They search for the pill he mentioned but can't find it in the room. With only 15 minutes left on the timer, they begin checking each other for the pill.
Brunette suspects Brown and turns out to be right when she finds the pill stuck to a piece of chewing gum under his table. She tries to give it to White, but Brown throws it into a vent. As the others try to retrieve it, a stressed Brunette steps in front of the camera and pleads with the invigilator to save White. However, since she communicated with the invigilator, she is immediately disqualified. Once she's gone, Blonde manages to retrieve the pill using a bobby pin and saves White's life.
In the process, she also unties him. Once he recovers, everyone eagerly asks him for the answer he had promised.
To everyone's surprise, White reveals that the answers are the candidates themselves. They have been searching for a question all this time, but White believes that there is no question, and the one who remains at the end is the answer. The rest of them believe him, but before they can take any action, White rushes to grab the gun from the guard. However, Black intervenes and snatches the gun for himself. He points it at White, who confidently claims that he won't shoot anyone. In a sudden turn of events, White attacks Black and manages to get hold of the gun. But just as he is about to use it, he realizes that the gun has fingerprint recognition. Thinking quickly, White uses the guard and aims the gun at the others, threatening them to leave the room on their own so that he can secure his victory. Brown, fearing for his life, obediently walks out. A frightened Blonde follows suit but shouts "Lights out" before leaving. The room plunges into darkness, and White starts shooting randomly in all directions. When the lights come back on, Black falls lifeless to the floor with a bullet wound in his chest. White scans the room and notices that Blonde still has one foot inside. He contemplates shooting her as well but realizes that the timer has stopped. Curious, White approaches the camera and proudly declares himself the winner to the invigilator. However, his triumph is short-lived as the guard approaches him and shows him the time.
White is shocked to see that they still have 20 seconds left, which means he is disqualified for speaking to the invigilator. It is then revealed that Def had secretly changed the time while they were engrossed in their discussion. Finally, the only one left standing is the blonde. She confidently enters the room and picks up Def's fallen glasses. Using them, she looks at the paper and discovers that it says, "Question 1" written on it.
To her complete surprise, Def walks into the room, revealing himself as the CEO of the company and explaining that he was secretly observing everyone during the test. Blonde approaches him and simply says, "No." The CEO and the invigilator exchange smiles, realizing that she has understood the question and passed the test. It turns out that when the invigilator asked if they had any questions at the beginning of the test, that was the only question they needed to answer. The entire exam was designed to assess the candidate's intelligence and attentiveness. They offer Blonde the position of the CEO's secretary, but she declines because she doesn't want to work for an organization that kills people. However, the invigilator reveals that Black isn't actually dead and the bullet he was hit with was a healing capsule. It's a revolutionary medicine they have recently developed, capable of curing any disease in the world. Finally, Blonde accepts the job and the movie concludes with her shaking hands with the CEO. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications and leave a like to support the